remind me why we use comprehension strategies? Samari.
To understand what we're reading.
Excellent. Can anyone tell me a few comprehension strategies which we've touched on already this year to help, as Samari said, deepen our understanding of the text? Christelle.
Visualize.
Good girl. Okay, so one, say for me, visualizing. Questioning. Predicting. Visualizing, what did we say? Visualizing, predicting, questioning, making what?
Connections.
Making connections. Okay, and today we're starting a new one. So today we're starting a new comprehension strategy, which is going to help us even further understand our text. So it's another little kind of a piece to the puzzle in terms of understanding what we read. Okay, sometimes when we read a story, the author doesn't tell us everything. They kind of give us clues. But what do you usually have to do in a text? You should do an extra little bit of work. What do you have to do, Emmanuel? You have to think. And you oftentimes have to visualize and figure out what's happening in the text. And the strategy which we're going to do today is going to help us with that. Okay? It's going to help us with that. So, Ava, what I want you to do is I want you to put your head down on the table. I want everybody to look at Ava. And I want you to infer. If you walked into a room and you just saw Ava looking like that, James, you just saw Ava looking like that, what would you start to think? What might you start to think? Dina?
And she's sad.
Why do you think that?
Because her head is not to the table.
Excellent. What else might you think, James?
She might be mad at somebody.
What gives that away? What makes you think that?
Because her head's down and somebody had made her mad.
Very good. Mecca?
She might be asleep.
She might be asleep. She might be sleepy. Anything else that you might think about her? Samuel?
She might be stressed.
She could be stressed.
She might be lonely. She could feel like hurt.
She might be hurt or upset. Alexis?
And she might not like anybody.
Exactly. So what's giving that away? Her what?
Her actions.
Her actions or her body language. Her body language. How she is on the table, what her body is, how her body is located on the table, tells us and shows us how she might be feeling. That's telling us a little bit. But it's not just Ava who's telling us. You're using what?
Your head.
You're using your brain. You're thinking for yourself, and you're coming up with the reason as to why you think she might have her head down. Has she told you why?
No.
No. That, boys and girls, is called making an inference. Now, it's different to making a prediction. It's very similar to making a prediction, but it's different. Can everyone say inference for me?
Inference.
Making an inference.
Making an inference.
And that is the comprehension strategy which we are going to work on today. So I'm going to invite everybody to come to the rug for us, and we're going to start into our model coach phase, part of our lesson. Okay? Okay, James, can you pop up for me crisscross applesauce? Good boy. As well as making inferences about things that we see. For example, at the beginning, what did you do? You remember this? We made an inference about what we saw in the picture. What's the second inference we made? The first time we made an inference, we inferred about this picture. The second time we made a connection to it, what did you infer about? Inferred about? Ava. We made an inference about Ava. On top of that, on top of making an inference when we see people or pictures, we make inferences when we read texts. Akira, so when we read texts, we make inferences. We start to think about what's going on in the text. So, let's look up here at the anchor chart. So, making an inference. When we infer, or when you make an inference, we figure out something about the text that the author does not tell us. So it's that extra little something. We are figuring out something extra. Have you been told it? No. You have not been told it. The author has given you clues about what's happening, but they have not told you exactly what's happening. Who has to figure out what's happening exactly? The reader. Well done, Ira. Or you. You or the reader. So, how do you do that? We use, what's that word that we always call from the text? Evidence. We use, bless you, we use evidence from the text, and we use our brains. Your brains are so full of information that you have stored up for years and years and years and years. For example, at the beginning of our lesson, when people were making inferences about the man, about this man, you were able to tell me all these things about he might be relaxed, he might be asleep, he might be calm, because he was at the ocean or at the seaside. Because you already knew. You had heard or seen or read before that the ocean can be calm. So you knew that. You also know, because so many of you have seen it, that when somebody has their head down on a table, are they usually feeling great? No, that there's usually something wrong. They might be. What were the reasons you gave me? They might be. Yeah, Ava? They might be sick.
They might be sad.
They might be sad. Sick, sad. Sleepy. Mad. Stressed. Lonely. All those reasons. You already knew that. When you were much smaller, the first time you saw somebody put your head down, you mightn't have known at all what they were doing. But then somebody told you, and you started to build up what? Your knowledge. You started to build up your knowledge. So, what do we call it when we make an making an inference. So making an inference. And you can do that when you are reading. So, again, when we infer, when you make that inference, you are figuring out something what? Something new. You're figuring out something new, or you are making an inference. You are making a decision. But you're using something very important that you're using. What are you using? As well as your brain, you're using evidence. You're using evidence. Remember how we talked about that? You always have to what? Always have to refer to the text. You always have to refer to the text. So, I'm going to read this one. I'm going to model for you. I'm going to show you how I infer when I am reading. And as while I do that, I have a list of words on the board which I might use when I am making an inference. So when I am going and I'm thinking about the text and trying to make an inference, figure out something. Ooh, ah, said the boys, as another one sparkled in the sky. They jumped for joy. Boom! As soon as the show was over, the tired boys went home to bed. Now, I'm reading this and I'm thinking lots of things. And the first thing that I'm thinking is, ooh, sparkles, sparklers in the sky, sparklers. Oh, I think that maybe it could be the 4th of July. Sparklers in the sky. Boom! Sounds. Ooh, I know what that sound is. Perhaps this could mean that they are at might be at a fireworks display. While I am reading the text, I am stopping, and I'm using lots of my other strategies too. I'm making what? As I'm reading it, what I'm making?
Prediction.
I'm making sort of a prediction, but I'm making a connection to the text. In that I know what it's like to see sparklers sparkle in the sky, and that boom, that sound. And then show was over. Perhaps it could be a circus, or it could be a carnival, but I'm thinking that more than likely, this could mean that I am at, or the boys are at, a fireworks show. Would you agree?
Yes.
So, as I'm reading the text, what am I doing? I am thinking. I am thinking about what the author is saying, and then I am trying to figure out what the author is not telling me. So it's kind of almost like a secret. When you make an inference, Marvelous, it's almost as if you are trying to figure out the hidden secret. You have no idea what the author fully means, but he's giving you what along the way? Excellent, well done, awesome, say it for me. He's giving you clues. And then with the clues plus your brain is going to give you an inference. So evidence from the text plus, what's this say? What?
You
Already. So this time I'm going to give out everybody their own little task card just like this. And you are going to read your piece of text. And what are you going to do as you read the text? Samari. Excellent. Say it to me good and loud. You're going to infer. How are you going to do that, Alexis?
By reading it.
And the key thing is visualizing or good boy. Thinking about what the author is saying. Christelle?
It's like what we did last time.
It is. It's very similar to making a prediction. It is very similar. They're kind of like twins, predicting and inferring, but they're different. Because when you are making a prediction, you are just using evidence from the text. You are not also relying on your own information. Okay? So in inferencing, you're taking the text a step further. The author hasn't told you everything. Okay? You have to figure out what the author has not told you. We're going to be reading a lot of texts over the next 2 weeks, a lot of mentor texts, starting one today. I have a book for us called The Sweetest Fig. And we're going to make inferences based on that text. Okay? So you're going to return to your seats, and I'm going to give out the task cards so that we can practice, we can be coached through this comprehension strategy of inferencing while we read. People are going to get different ones. Be okay, both of you? People are going to have different ones. Just take your inference card, doesn't matter which one, and just hang on for a second. Pause there for a second.